Pub.
Pickle Barrel Cafe and Sports Pub, North Columbia, in front of Kmart. Follow me to the PBC.
We've cued the music, and you know what that means. It's time for the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff with Louie Herron.
At the end of the day, what's most important is to find the car you want that meets the expectations that you need for you and your family.
And Randy Beasley.
Of course, the weekend, you got folks maybe thinking it's going to be some nice weather to get outside and peruse the car lots.
And now here they are, Louie and Randy.
All right, let's get it done here. It is Louie in studio today.
You're done.
I'm all discombobulated this morning. 67 degrees, Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff, and Louie is in studio with us today. We're going to be talking about some good ideas for you as if you're thinking about shopping for a vehicle. Also, some emails that Louie has received with some questions about that process. And, of course, we always talk a little bit about what's going on with the weekend. High school football tonight. Baldwin is off. Our game of the week, John Millage and Westminster, 7:15 tonight on Country 102. Also, GMC Prep is at home tonight with Aquinas. And Georgia Military College tomorrow at home with Tyler Junior College. That'll be on Country 102 at 12:30 tomorrow.
Yeah, you're discombobulated for a specific reason. And I just caught wind of it just through Facebook. But go ahead and tell me, what do you know about this Gurley situation?
First I heard of it. Go ahead and tell me.
Yeah.
Yes, well, it's... do
you have the real skinny? Has Scott informed you?
Do I have the real skinny? The latest thing that I've seen, and I don't put any faith in any of what I'm seeing right now. I saw a guy with, what's his name, Feldman with Fox News saying that it will be at least a 2 to 3 game suspension. And here's the deal. It's, it goes on all around the country. Everybody knows it goes on around the country. The higher profile college football players signing autographs or whatever you want to call it.
Johnny Manziel syndrome.
Yeah, the Johnny Manziel thing. And it's done. And supposedly money did exchange hands.
Here's the conspiracy theory, though. Somebody, you know, set that guy up. You know, it just, you know. But first of all, if you're not supposed to do it, you're not supposed to do it.
No,
but
he violated the rule, and he'll pay the consequences. But yeah, it was a setup. But that's my opinion.
All right. Well, you've been. Well, let's move on. Let's move on.
I like that. Let's move right along. Yes.
So as we get into some Falcon football,
let's move on again.
We'll move on.
Now the Falcons are in big trouble. We talked about all their injuries they had. They actually were ahead up in New York in the third quarter, but then got blown away at the end. They just don't have any depth at all. All sorts of trouble on the offensive line. All sorts of trouble on defense. They're at a season
pivotal point here.
If they don't win this weekend, it's going to be it's going to be a tough year anyway. But
what about something positive like the Yellow Jackets? You know, now there's not
the 5-0 Jackets.
Yeah,
yes, they are
beat
at
up
home.
on Miami last week, and they got Duke this week.
How about that? Yeah, they got Duke this week. There was talk about Tech could be 10-0. With Clemson and Georgia Tech, with Clemson and Georgia left for the regular season, so who knows? We'll see.
The thing is that's interesting is this whole playoff system really kind of screws everything up in a positive way. You know, you think of the last 20 years, there's been like one team with one loss. You remember that? I mean, 20 years in a row, one team with one loss, or you know, as far as the hunt for the number one. Now you've got Alabama, you got all these schools playing at a high level, which is really going to make it exciting for. As it comes down to the wire.
It's shaping up to me a little bit like what year was it when LSU had 2 losses and won the national title?
Yeah, that was probably 07 or something.
I'm thinking it could get to that. It really could. We'll see. There's going to be a lot. I think what we're going to do, we're going to get to the end of the year, there's going to be maybe one undefeated team and a lot of teams that are saying we should be there. So,
well, before we get into the car business, we got to just mention the Dolphins. I know everyone's just at the edge of their seat. They're gripping their steering wheels. They can't wait to hear the news. But we had a bye week last week, so we play the Packers this week, and that's going to be a tough game. So
Where is that game? That's in Miami.
That's in Miami.
Okay.
It's in Miami. So a lot of folks get the Miami news here,
Yes, they do. That's where they tune in for it, yes. Well, I'm glad they're playing well. We may have to live vicariously through the Dolphins here, the way things are going, if you're a Georgia or a Falcon fan.
Well, stay tuned. When we come back from the break, I've got a bunch of emails, Randy, a bunch of questions. So I figured this week we'll talk about. I've got 5 of probably some of the most concerning questions consumers have when buying a car or after they bought a car, in some dilemmas they found themselves in. So there's 5 questions. If you're interested in hearing what those questions are and what those answers are, I can assure you'll get some information that you may be in that same situation, or you may want to know about that scenario.
All right, it's coming up in just a few minutes here on the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoffs, 8:25, 25 past 8, 67 degrees. This is Country 102. Here's Tim McGraw.
Continuing news updates from around your state. I'm Matt Cook with the Georgia News Network.
8:31 now at Country 102, 66 degrees. It's the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff with Louie in studio with us this morning, and we're going to be talking about emails, talking about some questions that folks are asking Louie when we're talking about the process.
Absolutely. We've got a minute. We'll get right into it. So here's the first question. So this question came in not too long ago, and I've stored some of these up. So and what I try to do is find the ones that come up periodically. So if there's duplication of some of these, obviously it's coming up. But so here's the question I asked you. See if you got the answer. The question came in and says, I have a power of attorney for my dad who is 75 years old. He can communicate properly. He understands things, yet he's still not totally there to make complete decisions. Hence why I have a power of attorney. He told me that he went in and bought a car. After I reviewed the paperwork, he got a raw deal. He clearly suggests he doesn't really remember everything. What can I do? Can we get out of the deal?
You're asking me on this one,
that's
huh?
Right. That's right. That's the first question.
Why am I'm having a deja vu here. Have we ever talked about this before?
No. Well, that's why I've got it as a question. So here's the an elderly person walks in to buy an automobile that has a power of attorney of their children that can sign for them on behalf of all their financial affairs jointly. Okay, he still is capable, but he's not really all there. But and as the email went on, I cut some of it out. The email went on to say that actually, if you have conversation with him, he seems like everything's okay. Okay, and but he's not capable of making decisions. Doesn't quite understand the magnitude of a home purchase or a car purchase unless someone's present with them, like myself, to help sign for him. So he buys a car. He goes in and buys a car. They look at the paperwork. It looks like it's not a really good deal in their eyes based on the research they've done, based on the trade evaluation he should have gotten based on their opinion. And they want to redo the deal or get out of the deal is what they really wanted to do. So what's their rights? Because there are a lot of laws with minority groups and elderly groups as far as discrimination and so on and so forth. So what happens here?
I mean, I have no idea. I would think that if it's past a certain amount of time, I would think she's going to have to get an attorney, and I don't have any idea what would happen.
No clue, huh?
I have no idea.
Okay. So let's look at it from the dealer's perspective. If someone comes in, and I've seen tons of vibrant 70-year-old folks all the time and capable and come in and buy a car, negotiate a deal, and leave with the automobile, and there's nothing unethical, nothing immoral, nothing funky about the deal, and he signs everything. Is the dealership wrong?
Well, no, you're saying if the dealership has acted in good faith, they have no idea that there is any problem.
Right.
No.
I mean,
nothing.
Let me ask you this question. Should the dealer, the sales manager, the salesperson talk together with the consumer that's of a certain age that I guess that they would have to determine? Would it be their position to say, hey, are you capable of making this decision on your own? Can you actually do this? Are you?
No.
So what would the dealership do wrong in that scenario?
The only thing that the dealership would have done wrong is if they had a very good inclination that there was something not right. That's the only thing I see. If they have no idea that there's any problem, no, they haven't done anything wrong.
Okay, so the answer to this question is, in this scenario, really, unfortunately, it still goes back to the right of rescission that's in the automobile business. Is there a right of rescission? Do I have a 3-day policy? Can I return the car within 3 days? I've got so much time. I know I can. That comes up all the time. But in the state of Georgia, there is no cooling off period, as they say. In fact, you probably won't see it, and it's not necessarily identified by the finance manager, which they should, because everything should be gone over. At the bottom of most of these contracts, it will say in a box, there is, in the state of Georgia, there is no, in quotes, cooling off period. When you buy a car, you're an owner. Where the 3-day right of rescission and all that stuff come back where you have 3 days really comes up where people have door-to-door sales and they can return something within 3 days. The only way you can return an automobile in the state of Georgia is if A, the financing didn't get approved, B, you couldn't obtain financing from your source if it wasn't approved, or if the dealership has a policy that they have in writing, 48 hours, or they choose after the fact to do something in goodwill and unwind the deal for positive press, for good reason, for doing a nice gesture.
Right.
So in this scenario, this particular consumer, whether they paid too much or didn't get enough for their trade or anything of that nature, the folks that had the power of attorney, the kids, they're really stuck in that situation. There's really nothing they can do, and so now this has come up twice when I owned the Toyota dealership for 5 years, and I don't recall it coming up too often in my 22 years in the car business. In both scenarios that it came up, there was two ways I handled it. The one scenario, a consumer came back to me, relatively quick. It was like within 24 hours. I mean, it was relatively quick. I looked at the deal. I met with the person who bought the car and the children, which they were of age, and we went through the whole deal together. I could see that he was coherent, but I also could see that you could see where potentially he did not realize what he did, and I unwound the deal. Okay, that was just goodwill. That was what I felt was morally and ethically correct to do, so I did it. The other scenario, a customer came back in the same situation that was 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks later. We've already titled the vehicle. We've already paid the sales tax. We've already paid the salesperson. This is down deep the first time it comes up. And so what I did in that scenario, and didn't have to do, and some dealers may do this, is I served up an option with the consumer. I said, look, at this point, it's not 2 days later, 3 days later, it's 3 weeks later. I want you to feel good about the deal. I want to do anything that would be perceived as right. I don't think there's anything wrong that I could see ethically or morally in the deal, but here's what I'll do. We made $1,700 on the deal. And I said, I will cut you back a check for the $1,700. I don't lose anything, and at least in good faith, you'll feel like there's something in return for maybe what your father went through. They were happy with that. They thought that was fair. Some dealers wouldn't consider that. Some say that would be a problem. Some say you open yourself up for liability, But for me, it was all about making sure that the consumer felt like that's a local consumer. You want to make sure, hey, let's not leave this thing where you're still upset. If I do this for you, would you be 100% satisfied? If the answer is yes to me, I'm going to do it. If I say, listen, I'm going to go ahead and return back any profit that I made, so I don't lose anything, and you get something back, at least so you feel good. It's a principle matter at this point. It's not a legal matter. Would you be 100% satisfied? If they said no, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't give them back $1,700 because if you're not going to be 100% satisfied, that's the goal. And I would dig deeper to see what can we do. As opposed to unwind the deal. So that's a concern that came up multiple times on an email. And I think if you're out there and you have somebody, your father, your mother, that still wants to get around and they make squirrely decisions sometimes, you know that you really have no legal recourse on that. If they buy a car, they bought a car.
Gotcha. Okay. Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff with Louie in studio this morning. This is Country 102, 838. Here's Zach Brown Band. This is Country 102. It's 8:42. That's our Bobby Brown Insurance Agency time, and it's the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff. Louie in studio with us this morning, and going through some emails, some questions from consumers or potential consumers about the car buying experience.
Absolutely, yeah. And a lot of times when people buy an automobile, there's if you've bought more than one car, I'm certain you've probably felt like one of the deals or part of the deal or a portion of something that happened wasn't, and a lot of it has to do with it, like we talk about, is that research and how important that is. Here's the next question. If you're catching us now, again, this comes in multiple times. This question was, my credit score is low, so my question is, can I buy a car? And if so, am I stuck having to pay a high interest rate because my credit score is low? So the question is my credit score low, not is my credit bad? There's a big difference. If you've got bad credit, and let me back up. Your credit score can be low. I've seen people come out of a bankruptcy and have a 700 score. Okay, so I've seen the bureaus rate the deal or rate the credit differently according to what's on the credit, good and bad. So if you've got bad credit, okay, which, listen, through 2008 and circumstance, things happen, whether it's divorce or whether it's, there's multiple things that go on that cause scores to drop and credit to get bad, slow pays being behind, all that stuff. That's something that's very tough to overcome. But let me add something to that. If you have a substantial down payment, okay, you're putting the bank at less risk. They will work with you on the rate. So if you have bad credit, okay, but you have a substantial down payment, you can get a better rate. And instead of paying 17, 18%, you may get 11%. And believe it or not, I know some would say, wow, that's still high. Yeah, it's high. But remember, if you've got bad credit and you've had some bumps in the road, the bank is the one that's giving you a second shot or another opportunity. Right. Now, if this particular email says, if my credit score is low. Now, I've seen people with a low credit score, but here's what banks look at. The first thing, a lot of people think, I've got some charge-offs on my Visa and I've got some medical bills that I didn't pay, right? I mean, that happens frequently. Things happen. Banks aren't concerned with that too much, okay? What they're concerned with is, number one, is the mortgage current and up to date? That's one of the very first things that when we're looking at a deal and someone has a 520 Beacon score or a 500, the first thing we look at is, do they have a mortgage? Is it current? Mm-hmm. Okay. The second thing they look at is, what's the car history? Because here's one thing that the consumers don't realize is, when we get the credit bureau and the credit application and we look at the income and we send it to the bank, what the customer more times than not they don't realize is we're working that bank on their behalf. I mean, selling. I mean, telling the bank, and this is behind the scenes stuff right here, Randy. We literally would say, look, I've got Randy. I've met with Randy. He owns the radio station. He's had some bumps on the road, but let me tell you, he's been on the radio station for 13 years. He's got X amount of income. He can pay this. We already know that the banks are going to look at a percentage of your income. Is called payment to income. So they're going to say a consumer can afford 17% of their monthly income to a payment, right, or 20%. So Miss Johnson makes $2,000 a month. She can handle a $400 payment, $350 payment. We're at $320. The deal makes sense. We're on the right car. She's got $2,000 down, and the bank's going to say, yeah, but look at her credit score. Look at some of the. Yeah, I understand that, but look at the history. She's had 3 cars in 15 years, and she's had 79 months of car payment. She's been late one time in 79 months. And in addition, her highest payment has been $415, and she paid that one on time every time. And this payment's $350. This deal makes sense. I need you to buy the deal. Gotcha. So what I'm saying is I've gotten people with a 520 Beacon score, Randy's, 6.5%. And somebody with 500 Beacon score or 5.25 Beacon score, they don't get 6% money. Okay, so it can be done. So the question is, if my credit score is low, can I still buy a car? Yes. Do I still have to pay a high interest rate? No. Cash down, good payment history on your cars through the years, and being current on your mortgage is crucial. So if you're sitting there listening now, credit's not so good, make sure you've got 10 to 12 months of current mortgage, and make sure you keep your car up to date. And if you do that for a solid 10 to 13 months, you got a great shot at getting a low rate, even with a low score.
This is the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff on Country 102. Back again with Louie and some of your emails here in just a moment. Florida Georgia line now, and Dirt on Country 102.
A clue, T-Bones is here for you, and T-Bones appreciates your business.
Country 102, WKZR, 67 degrees now, 8:53. And in studio, Louie Herron with us this morning. We're going to talk more about this in a minute, but Louie Herron, Louie's Lake Lot on the Oconee Parkway near the Pyramid as you head up toward Lake Oconee, just in case you wonder where you can find Louie. And yes, you can find the owner.
That's it.
At the store.
That's it.
Yes.
We're there. So come check us out. If you need a great quality pre-owned car, one of the things that I would encourage everybody is we carry the same thing I would carry if I owned a franchise dealership. We carry late model stuff under warranty, clean Carfax. We have the same lenders and banks, from Wells Fargo and Ally and all the banks you need to get credit done or anything of that nature. We don't do any buy here, pay here. It's not that kind of operation, but we've got really beautiful cars. I mean, if you go to the website,
tell us a couple of models you've sold this week. Just tell us what you've moved this week.
Well, we got a Lexus RX 350 we've sold. Okay. We've got a 2012 Toyota Tundra we sold. We sold a to Mid-South Credit Union here in Milledgeville. We sold a beautiful Beetle, Volkswagen Beetle, convertible. So I mean, we're selling. Yesterday we sold out of Augusta a Kia Soul. 2012 Kia Soul with 30,000 miles. Bought that vehicle for $12,000. I mean, these are the kind of things that I think, if you want a solid price, and I would dare to say the best pricing, I would encourage you to check us out on the web at louieslakelot.com. And again, when you have lower overhead, you can really manage to do those things. I don't have a service department and 60 employees and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's me and 3 other guys. I mean, it's really an easy deal. And so we're not going to fight and go back. And I'll tell you what customers are telling me more than everything is they like coming in there. You go into a car dealership, there's a lot of process that goes on internally. When you come to the Lake Lot, I mean, literally, it's, hey, John, how are you? I'm Louie, man. What's going on? You like that car? Let's drive. Let's go in and talk about it. I mean, if you buy, great. If you don't buy, great. Hey, it's not the same. Let me go talk to my manager, and I'll see you in 15 minutes, and you sit for an hour by yourself, and this, that, and the other. I mean, we typically kind of do the deal right there with you, unless we need to remove ourselves to go check inventory or another, or auction reports on a trade or something of that nature. So it's a different experience.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't see value in process in a car dealership. I mean, I've run for 22 years. I've been in this business, and I've run a car dealership as a general manager or owner for 15 of those years. I see major value in that. But for the consumer standpoint, it's time, okay? It's frustration. And I will say it's interesting to have the ability to be so intimate and so close that we don't have to, handle customers that way. It's just a different deal. So check us out on the web at louieslakelot.com. Go to the Auto Trader, search your car. If we've got it, I promise you we're going to be price number 1, 2, or 3.
All right, let's get one more. You want to get one more email in before
I've got a call coming in at the same time here. So let me see if I can flick this off. And here we go. All right. Well, we had 5, so we haven't gotten through many, but here's one. So this has come up a couple times as well. This you may answer this right away because we've been talking about leasing, but here's another thing with dealing with credit. I mean, people are concerned with their credit, obviously, and there's some things that you need to know that I think will help you out. But the question is, I've heard the show on leasing, and my credit score is in the low 600s. Can I still lease? What's the answer?
I know that you need pretty good credit to lease. I know that much.
You do need pretty good credit.
So I would say maybe not.
Okay. So typically, I've worked with Honda and Toyota in my 22 years in the car business. So I will tell you from an import standpoint, 640's got to be your score. Okay. Now, have I ever gotten a deal approved personally under that? Yes, I have. Again, it's when the general manager makes a call to the banker and the finance manager's already done it, and I feel convicted about a deal. I see a deal here. I got to go sell it. So yes, I put some deals together that way. It's not likely. I will say you this though, Randy, if they're interested in a domestic car, Ford, Dodge, they have more lenient structures when it comes to leasing. I don't particularly know the reasons why. Every manufacturer has their own motives on, and I know most of it is probably to get market share and or to get retention. They want that. They want to keep them from buying a Kia or a Honda. Mm-hmm. So they'll make some concessions. And again, everyone looks at their whole portfolio of business. Every bank does. And so if your loss ratio is low and you can increase your risk without hurting the portfolio, they're going to slowly do that because that's money left on the table. That's market share. I mean, all these banks are no different than car dealerships. They want the business. I mean, Wells Fargo wants to beat out SunTrust doing more automotive loans than anybody. It's the same competitive world. So, yes, if you've got a low credit score, it's going to be harder to lease, but I will tell you, you probably need to lean more towards a domestic product. If you want to say, I want to lease a car, and that's what you want to do based on the payment and the price, you're going to probably have to set your sights on a different car if you were thinking about an import.
All right, we'll be back for one final break in just a moment. Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff Country 102 WKZR Milledgeville.
This is the Huckabee Report for Friday. I'm Mike Huckabee. America is finally doing something about keeping Ebola.
To be eligible for this discount. That's Saturday through Tuesday at the local Yokel Cafe.
This is Country 102 back one final time with Louie Herron in studio, the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff. When you going to Miami, man?
Man, I need to get down there. I have not been this year. Just been doing a little bit of coaching and doing some things of that nature and talking to some kids and obviously being around my children obviously has been important, but they're sports, and so I've been a little occupied with probably things that matter most. I'm sure I can get to a game before the year's out.
Life just kind of gets in the way, right? Okay.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about about Louie's Lake Lot. We mentioned earlier, very easy to get to. It's on the Lake Oconee Parkway near the Pyramid. And Louie's there most all the time.
Absolutely, and the thing that I want everyone to realize is. It is a standalone used car lot. We carry every make and model. We've typically got about 60 cars, Randy, on the ground at any given time, somewhere between 58 and 70. They come in, they come out. All the cars have a 4-month warranty right off the lot, so you don't have to worry when you buy the car if something happens within 4 months. And typically, those that have done business with me before, my heart's big. I typically, if something happens or you got a bad car in some way, shape, or form, we're going to figure something out. I always have and I always will. Also, in light of the 3-day right of rescission, we do have a 48-hour money-back guarantee. We don't heavily promote it with some of the other stuff that we constantly do, and some of the advertising is not as big as when I had the Toyota dealership. But that's important to know, and I think you can get all the information you need on the website, louieslakelot.com. We're still trying to get the insurance set up for rentals. We rented cars at Toyota. They don't do that anymore with the new store, but we will do it, and we will have rental. That's been huge for us, and I want everyone to realize that we carry cars from $3,000 all the way up to $50,000. We've got tons. We've got a great selection of Mercedes, BMWs right now, and Lexus product. Jaguars. We have Infinities. We just recently, you asked me what we sold. We just sold a 2013 Infinity SUV, a beautiful vehicle, 12,000 miles. So we sell great quality stuff that I want you to just really, if you want a worry-free buying experience, deal with somebody that's been in the community for 5 years. You know how to get a hold of me. It's not one of those owners that you got to go climb up the red tape to figure out and never get to. I'm totally accessible, and I think that's a huge benefit. So you can go to louieslakelot.com. You can go to Facebook, be a fan, check out the deals we have and the cars that we post. We got about 7,000 fans. It's pretty strong, huh?
That's good.
Yeah. So if you want the information that we're sending out, we do it. We're going to do a huge mail sale at the end of the month, sending out 25,000 pieces of mail to a pre-auction sale. I'll have some radio spots. Pre-auction means we're going to have KBB posted, NADA posted, and auction price posted, so you can see what the car is worth. And basically, at the end of this month, I've got to get rid of about 25 cars. I'd much rather, if I'm going to take a car at the auction at a loss to a wholesaler that I don't know, please give me the opportunity to sell it to you where you can get a great deal on a car, because the fact of the matter is they're good cars, but when they age, they've got to go. They keep depreciating like negative equity a consumer has. Mm-hmm. Dealers have negative equity, a ton of it on their lot. So, I'd rather eat some of that through a consumer, get a sticker on the back of a car, build another relationship, and it'll be a win-win for everybody.
All right, sir. Have a good weekend.
I will. You too.
All right, Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff on Country 102. 67 degrees. Our forecast for today, partly sunny, only a slight chance of any showers or thunderstorms the next few days. Looks like mid to upper 80s today, low to mid 80s for Saturday and Sunday, and look for lows in the 60s each morning. 67 degrees now, Country 102 WKZR.
Friday, I'm free again. I got my